Hey everybody, in this lesson video, I'm going to talk about density, which to me, when I think of density, I think about like how compact something is into an object or an area. And we have two different types of density that we're going to work with. The first one is population density. And your population density really is a rate. And your population density is the ratio of the population, the size of the population, to the area in square units. So again, population, that really refers to, oops, wrong color. That refers to the number of individuals. So number of individuals, whether that's people or specific species, maybe even bacteria. And area is measured in square units, whether that's square miles, square feet, whatever it may be. Now, we can also talk about density of an object. So density of an object. And this is another rate. It is always the ratio of the mass to its volume. So comparing mass to volume. And mass, oftentimes this is like grams or kilograms or ounces, things of that nature. How much matter is within the volume. And so volume, ounces, sometimes we think of volume, but that would be fluid ounces. Volume is a measurement of capacity. So maybe this is like fluid ounces or liters. It could be all sorts of different things. Maybe even one that I see a lot is centimeters cubed, cubic centimeters. Let's look at some examples. We have two different examples that we're going to do. First one, oops, there we go. A piece of plastic in the shape of a rectangular prism is 11 centimeters by 5.3 centimeters by 2.7 centimeters and has a density of 0.917 grams per cubic centimeter. What is the mass of the piece of plastic rounded to the nearest tenth of a gram? So let's draw this. We have a rectangular prism. So the base of this is a rectangle like so. And the length is 11 centimeters. The width is 5.3, and then it is a height of 2.7, which is not that tall. So let's make it look kind of like this. Adjust it just a little bit. Perfect. So there is the height, which is 2.7. This is not to scale by any means, and all in centimeters. We also know the density of this. We know the density of this object is 0.917. Now, in general, like I just have written up here, density is always equal to the mass of the object divided by the volume. Now, our goal is to find the mass, right? The question literally asks, what is the mass? Round to the nearest tenth. So we'll probably need to find the volume because we already know the density is 0.917. So I'm going to say 0.917 grams per cubic centimeter is equal to the mass, which is probably going to be in grams, over our volume. Now let's find the volume. The volume of a rectangular prism, you can just multiply the length times the width times the height. So I'm going to multiply 11 times 5.3 times 2.7. And that gets us 157.41 cubic centimeters. So our volume is 157.41 centimeters cubed. So to solve for the mass, which I just abbreviated mass with an M, I have the mass is divided by this volume. Let's multiply by the volume. I'm going to multiply both sides by 157.41, and that is our mass. So when you multiply these two values, your mass is approximately 144.34497, which the problem asked us to round to the nearest tenth, and the number that is in the tens place right now is a 3. After that is a 4. And the 4 is not large enough for us to round up, so our mass is approximately 144.3 grams. And again, it is grams because the density was listed as grams per cubic centimeter, and the volume is centimeters cubed. Number 2. The population of Arizona in a given year was 7,151,502. If the population density was 62.74 people per square mile, find the area of Arizona to the nearest square mile. And as I had written up above, the population density is the rate of your population per area. Population per unit of area, which is what we are trying to find in this case. We do not know the area of Arizona, but we do know the population in this year and the density in people per square mile. So let's write out what we know. The population density is 62.74 people per square mile, and that is equal to the population, which was 7,151,502. And again, we're trying to find the area, so I'm just going to represent that with an A. Now, if I want to find this area and the area is in the denominator, I need to actually get that out of the denominator. So to solve this, my first step is actually going to be to multiply both sides by this variable that we don't know. I'm going to multiply both sides of this by A. So now we have 62.74, basically our density times the area is equal to the population, which is still 7,151,502. Now to actually solve, I can just divide. So I'm going to divide both sides of this equation by the number multiplied to our variable, which is 62.74. Which tells us then that our area is 7,151,502 divided by 62.74, which is 113,986.3245. And I could approximate this, right? I'm actually asked to approximate this to the nearest square mile, which means I actually don't want any decimal at all to the nearest whole number. Nearest square mile means I don't want anything past this decimal, and the 3 is not large enough for us to round up. So I'm going to say the area is approximately 113,986 square miles. Or I could do miles squared. Please let me know what questions you have on this, and I look forward to seeing you soon.